Alright, so hello guys and welcome back to another of our courses today. So congratulations, until now you know how works all Excel formulas and how you can use all the stuff in your everyday's life. So today we are going to talk about functions and we'll have an introduction to those and we're gonna see how they work. So what are functions in Excel? Normally, a formula will be, for example, addition, subtraction, and any other formula. But functions are simply a way for you guys to simplify the formula. For example, let's say you have numbers and you want to calculate an average. Well, the average, you can do it manually, for example, adding numbers then dividing, or you can simply write down a function. The function average will automatically calculate the average. You have on Excel you have hundreds of different functions that exist, but the only thing, you have hundreds of functions that exist, but because this is just an introduction course, we are going to talk about the most important functions and not talk about all of them. We're gonna talk about the more important and those that you will use. So for today's class, it's an introduction, so we are just gonna talk about the functions that are right here. So you have 5 different functions: the sum, the average, count numbers, min, and max. So we are not gonna talk about the if or the VLOOKUP function and some others. We're gonna talk about them in our next course, in our next class. Since I want you to really focus on what's the goal of functions and how they work. So the first function I'm gonna see will be the sum. So let's say we have a small database. So write down 5 different numbers. Here we go. And the first thing we want to calculate will be the sum of those numbers. So how you will calculate the sum normally? You will add this number plus this plus this plus this plus this. But with Excel you can use the function sum. So let's say you write down equal, simply write down sum, and choose all those numbers. So as you can see, it calculated the sum. So how do you write down the function? Very simple. You write down the name of the function, and then you choose all the cells that you want to add to the function. So I want to add the cells D11 to the cell D15. If I only want to calculate for the sum for, let's say, I don't want to calculate the 26, how I'm going to do this? Same thing, so equal sum, this, and this. It will only calculate the sum for the selected cells. So it's very simple, simply write down a comma. If you want to calculate, for example, the sum for all of those, well, in this case, it's how you'll write it down, it's simply 2 points. So you write down 2 points, so D11 to D15, and it's gonna calculate the sum between those 2 numbers. The second function that we are gonna see will be the average. So the way the average is calculated it's exactly the same way. So instead of adding those numbers and dividing by 5, you simply write down average. Don't forget, before if you want it to work, you will have to write down the equal, and you see here you have average. Simply choose average, and then once again you select the cases where you want to, from which one you want to calculate the average. So as you can see, it automatically calculated the average. And once again, if you start changing all infos in those cells, as you can see, the answers will start to change. As you can see, the sum changes, the average will change. Next that we are gonna see will be count numbers. So this function is used to calculate the number of the number of active cells. So for example, here the answer will be 5. So let's try it out. So as you can see, it has 5 active cells. For example, let's say we have letters. As you can see, the answer is 0 because those are not numbers. That's the thing with this formula. So it will give you the exact number of cells in which you have numbers. For example, right now we tried with letters, but right now let's try with numbers and letters. As you can see, it gives 2 because in those 4 cells, there are only 2 cells that has numbers. The rest have a letter. So it can help you out, for example, if you have cells with numbers and cells with letters. Well, it's gonna give you the exact count of cells that have only numbers in them. Count number. Next, we want to see the max and the min. So as the word says it, the min will be the smallest number that we have here. So if we try it out, simply write down min, and we select all the numbers that we have. The smallest number is 12, but let's say we exchange 12 by 23. The smallest number becomes 15, which is really logical. So as you can see, it will give you the smallest number. Same thing for the max. Let's say we choose max. So right here, we write down our equal, max, and we choose the numbers in which we want to have the max. So as you can see, the max is 59, but if we change 59 and we write down, let's say 21, as you can see, the new max will be 58. So those are very basic functions, and as you can see, it helps you out a lot when you have when, for example, you want to find out the max of something, you want to find out the min of something. Well, instead of looking for it by yourself, you can simply use out functions, and you will find it out. The same thing if you want to calculate an average. For example, right here we have a database of only 5 numbers, but let's say your database is 100 numbers. Well, calculating manually the average will be really long. But instead of this, you can simply write down the function average, and you will automatically have it. Same thing for count numbers. For example, you have a database of 1,000 different numbers, and you want to know how many of them you have. You simply write down count numbers, and it will give you the exact amount of numbers that you have. This can be very useful if, for example, you make a stock market and you try to make stock market predictions, or you you do data analysis. It's very important to have those. You want to know on how much data you work. So it will be really, some of those functions can be really important. And once again, those functions are really just the basic for you guys to understand what are functions in Excel and how those functions are working. So that's it for this course, guys. And see you all in our next class, where we're gonna go more in depth in functions and see how works another of functions, that is the if function.